Alright, welcome back to NY DIY. Working on the vet today. Doing the control arm bushings. Switching from basic the stock rubber to the polyurethane bushing upgrade from AFE. That's the brand I'm using. I'm not sponsored by the video, but that's the brand that I'm using. Decent product. Comes with nice aluminum sleeves. Good quality polyurethane bushing. I mean, very, very nice product. And they give you plenty of polyurethane grease, too. So, good stuff, good stuff. So, I know I'm starting I know I'm a little late recording to the party here, but, a little late, but I'm doing the front control arms right now. So, I started with the upper. I did one control arm so far. It came out pretty good. Came out really, really good, actually. Very happy with it. Came out good. So the right front upper is done right now, and I'm about to tackle the other side, other front, which is actually right here. So I'm about to press these bushings out and then press the new ones back in. So I'm going to go through some things to show you how to press them out. You could use a vise, but it's just going to just really, really beat you up. What I'm using right now is actually a Harbor Freight job press. Works pretty good along with ball joint tool presses. Axle bearing splitter, definitely a must to grab everything correctly and to press everything out. Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll do the other front control arm right now. I'll do it right in front of everybody so you get to see how to do it. So what I was saying before, what we're going to do is take the bearing splitter, okay, the control arm, flat side down, put it like so, nice and flush, squeeze it, start screwing these things together. Just screw the hole down nuts. See how the bearing is sitting flush. Right here, see? Tighten it down pretty good. You know, if you gotta get a pair, if you gotta get a wrench or something like that to tighten it, that's cool too. You don't have to go crazy, because the bearing splitter is going to push up against the actual aluminum piece of the control arm bushing when it like separates and pushes apart. So you understand what I mean? I'm not confusing you. Okay, so it's nice and tight. Concave side up, flat side down, and literally right against the control arm, if you can see. It's a little cockeyed, but it's okay though, because it's going to push up against this washer, so it doesn't really matter. Alright? Just want to explain something to you again. This is the bearing splitter, okay? You want this side of the bearing splitter flush against this, okay? You don't want it to go like this, the rounded side or the contour down, because if it slips, it's going to round off the control arm. So you want a nice flush fit this way, okay? And then you want to choke up, so you're choked up on the bushing, if you understand what I mean. Choke up on it between this piece and the actual control arm itself, okay? And as you see, you can see the bushing right here start to get pushed through. See? And it's going to get pushed right up into this socket here. It's going to go a little cockeyed on you folks, but don't worry about it. Press it all the way through. It's going to bottom out in the actual ball joint tool socket, but don't worry about it because once you release the pressure, you can actually twist it out by hand and push it. And voila. That's what you want. You want it just like this. See? See how when you install the bearing splitter, see how when you install it, you want it on a nice flush fit this way. You want it right up against the control arm here. Because if you don't, you'll clip the edge and you'll round off the control arm and it's not good. So this is the way you want it, and that's the way it's going to sit, just like that, see? You can actually pull it out by hand right now. Oh, maybe not. Making a fool out of me. Channel locks. Pair of channel locks. Twists right out. Separates it without a problem. Alright, now it's time to press the polyurethane bushings in. With this AFE kit, okay, again, I'm not sponsored by this. Is a kit that I bought because the install is just a lot easier because you have the bare polyurethane bushing and it comes with sleeves. Just like I explained in the beginning of the video, it comes with separate bushings, which are very nice, good quality of polyurethane, and it comes with the sleeves already separated. Not separated, but they come separate, so it's just an easy installation. Like I said before, previous kits, you have to actually take the stock bushing, okay, and actually grind away the rubber to reuse this piece. So obviously this piece here is going to be replaced with this piece, this nice built aluminum piece. So, but yeah, that's why I like this kit. That's why I spent the extra money, just for, you know, ease of installation and also time. So when it comes with this kit, and when you install the bushings in this kit, you have different bushings. In this case, all the bushings are numbered. So you have the upper control arm, front upper, front lower, upper rear, lower rear. Okay, and each bushing in and out are different part numbers. In this case, the upper control arm bushing here requires, for the upper bushings, a 2786 on the inside and a 2785 on the outside. Okay, so outside is 2785, on the inside are 2786s. And as you can see, maybe you may not be able to see, but they are numbered right there, right on top. So, and these are pretty easy to install. Now, before you install the bushings, all right, before you install the bushings, inside here, it's just, you know, rubber that just came off from, you know, deflection of the control arm going up and down or back and forth, you know, doing its job, moving with the suspension. The kit is recommending that you clean this out. Now, you can use a wire brush if you want, or some sort of solvent. You can use solvent also, but if you're really quick and really easy, you can use yourself a wire wheel. Okay, this one happens to be a little bit bigger than the inside diameter, and I'm just going to do a quick pass inside and out. Blow it out. Look at that, nice and clean. See how this side is right here? I'll try to zoom in for you so you can see. You can see right there. See all the nasty rubber right there compared to this one? This one here is very nice with that wire wheel. See, this is the way you want it. You want it nice and clean on the inside. And again, you can use a regular wire brush or use a wire wheel. If you use a power wire wheel, just make sure you don't don't sit there too long, because you will remove material from the control arm. And the last thing you want to do is have a bushing spin inside. This is supposed to be stiff, or this is supposed to be still inside the bushing while the control arm piece moves inside, it pivots. Okay, so we'll do this bushing here, quick and easy. Blow it out. A little bit more, actually. nice and clean. Now, you can press these bushings in either by hand or you can use a press. What I like doing is using the vice grip, like kind of hand vice, squeezing vice. I kind of like that better because it kind of puts it even and it doesn't chill your hand as much, you know? So let me just make sure I got the right bushings and I'm pressing them together. 2785 on the outside, 2786 on the inside. So I'm going to put these in here a little bit right here, like so. 2786, let me just confirm, just being paranoid. 2785, 2786. They're all numbers, so you can't mess it up. And if I can do this, anybody can do this. Spread it out, squeeze these together, and then press right in. Look at that. Boom. Do the next one. 86 on the inside, 85 on the outside. Together. Now, when you press these bushings together, make sure they're flush. Make sure like they're squeezed all the way in. Don't overdo it because you will break the polyurethane. I mean, it is very durable, but just, you know, a good, you know, put some oomph into it to make sure they're completely flush against the metal, because you don't want to go in cockeyed, because it just, your geometry of the suspension will be all messed up and it will have premature wear on the bushings, and it just ain't right. So, but now what we're going to do is use a supplied polyurethane grease and literally use the heck out of this stuff. Be very, very liberal with it. Just squeeze it in there. Now, in the bushing itself, there's actually grooves. Try to really pack those grooves tight with this grease. I mean, because the last thing you want to do is have a noisy control arm bushing, because guess what? Once this thing goes back together, I'm not taking it apart again. So, there are guys in the forums, because there is a space between in this bore here for the bushing. There is a gap. Guys have drilled a hole and put a grease nipple in there, or a Zerk fitting in there. Some guys swear by it, some guys don't. They feel that you're going to get grease on the outside of the bushing, not the actual inside. And like I said before, the bushing will actually spin inside the bore, and you can do damage to your actual control arm, which is not good. So, but just like I said, really, really, really get the grease in there. Really pack it in there. Go along the edges, because remember, this piece right here is going to be pivoting all around it. So you want to make sure you get the face of this and the face of this bushing, and also on the inside too, because there is a flat washer that goes against here also. Let me grease this up and I'll be right back. Alright, now that the old bushings are pressed out and the new bushings are pressed in, now we're going to press in the upper control arm sleeves, okay? This polyurethane grease is super, super sticky and super nasty. So make sure you wear a pair of gloves. If not, have a lot of rags nearby. But make sure you lube the crap out of these so you slide in nicely, okay? Now, just like on the factory ones, okay, on the factory bushings, these flat sides or flat ends or bulky sides or whatever you want to call them, go to the outside, okay, of each control arm bore. So it goes like this, and the other side goes like that, okay? On the inside of the new sleeves, there is a washer and a snap ring that holds it together, so it doesn't slide back and forth on the actually new sleeve. So let's press these bad boys in. Now, when you press these in, make sure when you press the control arm down, okay, you have something to receive. Make sure you have something to receive the bushing. So when you press the bushing down with the press into the bushing. Make sure you have something to support the other side of the bushing so you don't press it out, so it presses in nice and easy like that. Okay? Normally pressing things is almost like Legos. You got to put things together to make it work. In this case, I have a 33 millimeter socket with an axle nut, okay, that happens to have the same bore that this can slide in and out of. All right? So let's press this bad boy in. Just push it in just a little bit, all right? Set it up in your press. Press cooperate. Okay. And force it just a little bit here. You have to manipulate the sleeve a little bit just to make it work, but once you get it on there, get it in just enough, press away. A lot of this is just manipulation and technique and just finding out what works. I mean, it's not a way, it's not the way, it's a way to do things. You know, but sometimes making these videos are very hard because everyone's so worried about getting critiqued. Listen, if you have a way to do it and it's the right way and it comes out good, God bless, you know. In this case, I'm doing it this way. I got a lot of information from my Corvette life. Shout out to him. I learned a lot about, actually this is where I got the information about the kit. See how I push it down? Right in, not too much. Not too much, because you don't want to do any damage to this pushing here. Release it. Take this out. See right here? Kind of flush, gets a little nasty. Look at all the access. The access is take off, put it on the face here. Oh, let me get the washer, hold on. After the bushing gets pressed on, this washer will go over it and it'll be held in by this snap ring. Very simple, very easy. We'll do the other side now next. Whatever's extra, just take off. Okay? Because, you know, I know they give you in the kit like 3 little tubes, but sometimes that may not be enough. You never know. Scrape some of it off, move this up. Get access coming onto there, and again, same exact thing. Put it in just a little bit. Oh yeah, by the way, see front, rear. Mark the control arm. Obviously, this I put LF. This is the left front, and this is when it's in the up position. So this is like so. So this is the front of the control arm goes this way because it's the left front. Rear of the control arm. Rear direction. Some of the pressure off the lift, off the press. Control arm in. Again, the same pressing procedure. Just press it right down. Line everything up here. You can try doing it by hand, but good luck. Very difficult, pain in the ass. I tried it, that's why I was like, you know, I'll just use the press. And I actually feel some resistance. Press it down, just enough until it all comes out a little bit. And we're done. And the upper control arms are finished. Take the access, put it on the face of the bushing. You don't waste it. Probably squeezed all out when you did it. Take this metal washer, line it up correctly. You can only go on one way, as you can see. Press it on there, the snap ring in there, and you're done both front upper control arm bushings. One thing I just want to go over real quick in regards to the upper control arm bushings. Like when you install the new upper control arm, this piece right there, all right, when you install the new upper control arm, it's going to get installed like so, okay? Now, remember that it goes up against the frame this way. As you can see, it goes just like this. Now, these sleeves, the upper control arm sleeves, the new ones, okay, they get installed a certain way. I just want to get through this little caveat out there. If you look at it this way, you can see how they're kind of cut different. See how they're machined different from the top and the bottom, okay? So if I install it, okay, with this big piece on the outside, just the way the factory bushings were, if I install it this way, guess what's going to happen? I can move it back and forth. If I flip it around, it's machined to that pocket in the frame. I can't move it back and forth. So make sure when you install the control arm, which I'm going to do, what I'm going to do next, okay, make sure it's installed that way. Make sure you're installing it correctly, all right? So you don't want it like this. You want it just like this. Boom, okay? And also, too, when you disassemble the control arms, either side, make sure you pay attention because either they're going to be washers connected to the bolts in the front or the back, because that controls your caster, okay, for your final alignment, all right? Remember, caster, camber, toe, that's how you adjust it, all right? But just make sure you don't lose these washers when you take them off during the disassemble initially, because they have to go back in the same spot. You should get a wheel alignment after this is all said and done, but make sure you don't lose it because at least you have a reference point you can put it back to, all right? Now we're going to go press these bad boys in the new control arm, the upper control arms, to finish off the upper control arm job. Alright, now that we got the upper control arm installed, both sides, this is how it is. Very hard to move because obviously the grease and it's like super cold in the shop. But look at that. See how more free moving it is compared to the rubber bushing? The rubber will go up and then kind of spring back, up and then spring back. This is very, very free moving. So you're actually letting the suspension do its job, along with there's no deflection of the bushing as much. Okay, I mean, you're going to get deflection because it's still a soft material, but it's way harder than your basic rubber bushing. But look at that. Very nice setup. Good quality stuff through AFE. Like I said, the kit's a little bit expensive, but well worth it because it comes with these bushings. All right, so next we're going to start to do the lower control arm. So what needs to happen is that the tie rod needs to come off. The lower ball joint needs to come off, okay, which is right there, as you can see. Oh, where is it? It's right there. Castle nut's right there. Control the sway bar end link has to go right there, okay, along. Once those are taken off, you got to take off the lower control arm bolts, which is right there. Now, with these, on each part, you have one right there. They're called eccentrics or cams. Those are your suspension adjustment points, okay, for your camber, all right? You can also do caster with it too, but caster is mainly in the upper control arm. You could control camber with the upper control arm, but in this case, I believe this car, the caster is the upper control arm and the camber is the lower control arm. Before you take these off, if you want to try to get as close to this factory alignment as possible, maybe put a punch mark on the cam itself and on the frame. So when you put everything back together, you're getting it close to the factory alignment marks. Okay, so I'm going to take off both sides. Again, lower control arms, the lower control arm bolts have to be taken off. Sway bar link has to be taken off. And the lower ball joint, along with the shock. Can't forget about the shock. The shock has to be taken off. Now, the shock is actually holding the control arm up a little bit. So if you take the control arm off with the suspension hanging on it, it may drop down and you may damage the thread. So maybe put a jack stand under here with a little bit of weight. I'm fortunate enough that I have a lift in my shop. So it's a little bit easier for me. Some have to do it in the ground, which is very common. It happens. Put some pressure on that lower control arm so you take some pressure off of it. Then take the lower shock bolts off. Sorry, I'm trying to learn how to work this new gimbal here. And take the new lower shock bolts off, along with the top of the shock. Take that mount off also, okay? You may have to take off the coolant reservoir, which is right here, along with the washer. Along with the washer reservoir, which is on the other side, right over there, right there. Got to take that off to get to the top of the shock bolt itself, which is located right here. Alrighty, so I'm going to get started. There are plenty of videos out there to teach you how to remove control arm suspension components. I'm just going over my project to show people in how I do things. Alright, thanks. I'll be back. Okay, now we're pressing out the rear lower control arm. Alright, now we're pressing out the rear lower control arm bushings. Obviously, I went over how the front control arm bushings press out and then the new ones pressed back in. The rear ones, the front lower ones, same process. You're going to use the bearing splitter, okay, and again, putting it between, choking up on the bushing and the control arm, okay. You want it right up between the bushing and the control arm flush, okay. Again, flat side of the bearing splitter against the control arm, contoured side facing up, okay, or concave, I should say. All right. Same process, finding, again, I'm using a ball joint kit with a universal press fittings that fit over the bushing. Now, I already pressed one control arm bushing set out, and here's the issue I ran into. For the lower rear bushing, okay, one of my kits, or if you can find a socket or exhaust pipe or something big enough to go over the actual washer itself, that's fine. But behind the washer, okay, is actually a bigger washer that's molded into the rubber, as you can see right here, that eventually kind of got forced or squeezed through this sleeve right here as I was pressing it through. Collateral damage, it happens. It's going to happen. Just whack out. If you have something big enough to go around it, you're safe. If not, if you're like me, just force it through, send it home, and just whack it out with a punch. Okay, that's all I did. So here's one of the old ones. Okay. Okay. All right, so we're gonna set it up as we did last time. Socket underneath. Okay. Again, we have a little Lego set going on here. You know, when you press something, this kind of sort of happens. Just kind of go with it. All right, we're gonna press it out. Make sure it's level, straight as you can. I mean, just pressing rubber through. It's nothing really that crazy. Just make sure you try to line up the best you can. And again, here we go. Just press it through, send it right home. See, we're running into a problem now. A problem that is, it's going in a little cockeyed. It's all right. Go. And there we are. See how it gets cockeyed in there? So just whack it out with a punch. See how much it went in? Alright. Just blast it out with a punch. It comes right out. Now, we're going to get the channel locks. You can get a set of channel locks or take it out by hand. All right, it's relatively pretty easy. It's twisting out right now without a problem. You got to put a little force into it. Move the camera so you can see. Aim the camera down. Oop. And there you go. See how it wedges itself in there? It's because of that washer. See how it bends? Because obviously the inside diameter isn't big enough to go around the washer, so it just kind of folds and you kind of force it through. It happens, it's alright. Like I said, I whack mine out with a punch. So, alright. Next we're going to start again, the lower control arm front bushing. Again, we're going to get the bearing splitter around here, okay, and again, make it flush and set it up to press out. All right. Now we're going to press out the lower control arm rear bushing. Not correction. Front bushing. Same thing. Sock it over. A lot easier. Don't get stuck in dealing with it. Again, it's like working with Legos here, or Lincoln Logs. I don't know if you folks remember them. And there we go. Bushing is pressed out. Not a problem. See? So now we're going to clean these bores out with the wire wheel, just like the upper control arms. And then we're going to do the install. Alright. Lower control arm bolts are in. Control arm is in. See how I lined up my marks? They're a little off. So, they're a little off, but, you know, I'll make sure I adjust it, get it close to the factory setting, or the settings that I had it before I took it apart. But there it is. And I just want to show how I showed you last time, how the rubber bushings are and the way they spring back. Look at that. Nice. Nice and smooth. Look at that. So now the suspension's going to work the way it should. Articulate, flex with the limited amount of bushing deflection under, you know, hard cornering, braking, acceleration, and yeah. So I'm gonna go back together, and we're gonna start the rear after this.